Okay, so I dropped my Ant-Man the Wasp spoiler review earlier today, and there was some audio errors that were in the video. I did not get to check the video at all when I recorded it last night, obviously, because I had a bunch of things going on when I got home. I was really stressed out because I had to record the two reviews, plus I had to do a video for the main channel, Geekdom 101. Then I had to talk to a couple friends of mine that were going through some stuff. Like, I stayed up till 7 a.m. this morning dealing with a lot of different things. I just had a lot going on. But so instead, what I'm going to do is just give y'all a bonus video, and I'm going to call this video "The Problem with Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania," because there are issues with the film. And now it's been like a day, so I can give it more thought too. So consider this like a bonus video to make up for the bad audio. So my bad on that. I didn't want to re-record the spoilers review because, I have more to say. So I might as well give you that plus more. Yes, there are problems with the movie. There's definitely issues with this film. It's not perfect by any means. However, some of the responses that I heard last night were weird, like about the movie. Okay, so if you don't like the movie, I understand. I get it. Everyone has different taste. If you were expecting it to be like the first two Ant-Man and it wasn't, I understand that too. If you're tired of the Marvel formula, I understand that too as well. I respect it. For me, those things didn't really bother me. Yes, the Marvel formula is boring. Or not boring, well, played out. It is played out, and it's kind of dumb that the characters in the Quantumverse have the same sarcastic quips. I understand that as well. And I'm not even going to sit there and say that's not a good criticism because I get it, man. We're how many years deep into this thing, yo? Like 2008's when it started. So if you're sick of it, I totally get it. However, it didn't bother me in this movie. Even though if I watch it again, maybe it will stick out more. Didn't really bother me. Really, the main purpose of this movie was Kang. I mean, you could have called this movie Ant-Man the Wasp: The Origin of Kang, and it would have been really, I mean, it's not really the origin of Kang, but you know what I mean? Like, it was a Kang movie. So I viewed it from the perspective of this movie's purpose is to get us ready for Kang Dynasty and for Phase 5, and it did that. I think it did that, and I think the Kang character, Jonathan Majors, just everything about it was fine. There were some issues, though. I've mentioned before that time travel is always wonky. I find it very strange that not only did Kang the Conqueror have never heard of Ant-Man, maybe the other variant universes have a different Ant-Man, or maybe it's Hank Pym, or maybe it's a different character altogether, or maybe he did hear of him, but he looks different. There's a lot of, remember, there's different variants and different powers, different Spider-Men, so that could be it. However, no Pym particle sounds weird, because if Hank Pym is intelligent enough to, discover the Pym particles and use them to give himself powers, then logically in other universes, Kang would have run into these Pym particles and known about all this. So that is a bit of a logic hole. I don't think it's a plot hole necessarily, because they can easily just say that of the universes that he was in, of the multiversal timelines he was in, Ant-Man was not, he was not a big deal there. Like maybe he wasn't, maybe it was a different kind of particle. I don't know, but that is weird. Like, you would think that his ship or not crash landing, but his ship being destroyed and him being exiled into the quantum realm, you'd think he would have a way out if he's from the year like 3000. He's from far into the future. I'm not sure if the MCU is going to say he's from the year 3000. Like, I don't know if they actually said that. I know in the comics, one of the Kangs is from the 30th century. And I think there's one from like the 40th century too. It's an even more futuristic Kang. But the movie's got its problems. I mentioned that. I think the special effects look good for the most part. It did not bother me, to be honest. Some of the things that people were saying about this movie are straight up weird, though. I had one guy tell me that Kang's motives were not there, and that's complete nonsense. They literally explain to you what Kang's motives are. During the conversation with Kang and Janet, he tells her that he wants to destroy the other universes because he wants to stop himself from being a problem. He even alludes to it when he talks to Cassie. He's like, the problem is me. Like, this Kang is evil, and he wants it all for himself, but he also knows that the other Kangs that are working together, he knows that they are, probably, I don't know about more evil, but they're definitely going to be they're probably a problem. They're definitely a problem, to deal with. So there is that. Also, so to me, like saying that he had no motive is weird. Saying that you're confused about Ant-Man versus Kang being a fight, I mentioned that also being a criticism, but at the same time, if you're going to criticize that, you have to criticize the fact that Captain Marvel was able to fight with Thanos, toe to toe, even though he had the gauntlet in his hand. I know he didn't have all the stones, but still, he was going to use it. So they're trying to get him to snap, and he took one of the stones off and punched her, right? Remember, in Endgame, but just that right there, like the depowering of the Infinity Gauntlet in the MCU and making it less powerful, like just that right there can be criticized. And it was. I mean, there's nothing wrong with criticizing the movie. I just feel like this movie is not even that bad. Like, I liked it. I had a good time watching it. And most of it was because of Kang. Like, if Kang was not in this film, if Jonathan Majors was not in this thing, I can totally understand it not being that good. But Kang is a legitimate A-list villain here, and he's sticking around. And I like the fact that they can kill Kang off in multiple movies, and that's okay because there's other Kangs. And so you're not cheapening death because you know of what this Kang has done with the multiverse and, the branching timelines and the fact that He Who Remains is no longer there after the events of Loki. So all of that makes sense. The Modoc thing was the worst thing about the movie. I mentioned that in the spoilers review. The Modoc situation, how they wrote that character, his turn was just horrible. Like, the way he looked was already weird. I don't know if it was an effects thing, but I feel like that they purposely wanted him to look like that. And I mean, like, the face part, the mechanical part was fine, it's fine. But the fact that he just all of a sudden turned good and wanted to be an Avenger, that's just weird. Like, why would he turn on Kang, who rebuilt him? Like, it's just weird to me. There wasn't enough story there. I don't know if there was a deleted scene or the script was bad. It was just really bad. Like, Cassie tells him, don't be a dick, and all of a sudden he's not a dick anymore. I didn't like that, man. I think that this movie would have been better if Modoc was left completely out of the film. Like, completely out of it. And if Kang was just the main focus with other minions, and they later on came back in the future and made another Ant-Man movie or a different superhero, and then had Modoc be the villain in that. Modoc was the worst part about this movie, without question. But either way, even with all its flaws, I liked it. Like, I really did enjoy the movie. The mid-credit scene, seeing Rama Tut, seeing Immortus, seeing all the different variants of Kang in what appears to be the end of time. They're all there, and what's happening with that. That was great. I mean, it was a phenomenal teaser for Kang Dynasty. And then we had the teaser for Loki Season 2, where we have Loki in 1901 talking to Timely. And I wasn't expecting to see him there. I really wasn't. I mentioned that in the choppy version of the spoilers review I did. Victor Timely, like, I was not expecting to see that. But if they're going to be going after Victor Timely, or at least trying to figure out what the heck is going on in Loki Season 2, I'm all for it. Tom Hiddleston, Owen Wilson, they're great. Owen Wilson is hilarious in this role, and Loki's, Tom Hiddleston's a multi-talented actor. I mean, we've seen him all the way from Phase 1. He's one of the guys that has been here since Phase 1 and is still interesting. So I wonder if this movie, if you can go from this film directly into Kang Dynasty, and if it actually makes sense. I'm not going to say that now because there's still more movies to come. We have a lot more left, but I do wonder, genuinely, if that's what we're going to get, or if that's even a thing that could be done. But to me, it didn't really bother me. I love the way, I totally saw Kang's motivations. Now, what we don't know is what are the motivations of the other Kangs. That could be explained in Kang Dynasty, or even before then, maybe in Loki Season 2. I don't think that's a complaint about this movie. This movie was just done to show us that there's a problem brewing and to explain to us what happened to Janet when she was in the quantum realm for those years. And like I said, there are problems, like the Wasp was completely wasted. Bill Murray was completely wasted. Like, I wouldn't say he was as wasted as Christian Bale as Gore the God Butcher, but Bill Murray was wasted, man. One scene, it wasn't even that funny. Those are the problems with Ant-Man Quantumania for me. If you have different problems, again, here's the thing about me, man. I'm a grown-ass man. I'm grown. If you didn't like this movie, cool. Like, I respect everyone's opinions. Josh from Den of Nerds didn't like it either. You know what I mean? That's fine. Like, a lot of people didn't like it. I enjoyed it. I really did. And I went into it very critically. I went into it thinking, okay, what are they going to do that as to why this movie's not getting that much love? And I guess because I'm a fan of like Star Trek and Star Wars and the quantum realm and all that stuff, I dug it. But I understand a more casual fan or somebody who's not really into that kind of stuff, even if you're a hardcore Marvel fan, if that's not what you're into, if you're into other aspects of Marvel, I can see why this wouldn't connect with you. But for me, it definitely did. And I wouldn't mind seeing more of the quantum realm later on. I think we saw a lot of it here, but I didn't hate it. I liked this movie. I genuinely liked it. Did I love it? There were things I did love, but I liked it. But to be honest, and the truth is that if it wasn't for Jonathan Majors and Kang, it wouldn't have been that good. I mean, he carried the movie. That happens a lot. There's tons of movies where you look at them and you're like, okay, if these actors weren't that good, and if this character wasn't that interesting, it would suck. But you can say that about any movie, right? Like, think about that. Even when The Dark Knight. If Heath Ledger's Joker wasn't so compelling, would that movie have still been as good? I mean, it would have probably still been a good film, but would it have been as good? I mean, his performance elevates the film. That's what great actors do. And that's why there are awards for things like this, man, because the Academy and movie film fans recognize the importance of a good actor. So yeah, and so I want to apologize again for the bad audio. I'm making it up to you guys here. I'm trying my best to make it up to you guys, and I hope that that everything's cool with that. And I'll be talking more about Kang as we go. I might do a video explaining a bit more about Kang and talking about what I think is going to happen and how the timeline thing is supposed to work. I could be wrong. But it's fun to theorize until we get an answer. What I'm worried about, guys, is that we're not going to get an answer. I'm worried that they're just going to go into this without properly explaining it to people. And even though I do enjoy Marvel Comics, I don't want to have to go reading the comics to get the explanation. You can read the comics to get what the comic creative people had in mind, but the movie should also explain it for the casuals, because if it doesn't, then that will take away points. But as far as like tone goes and pacing, I like this movie, man. I like that it was more serious, because they have to build up Kang as a serious threat. You can't have that much joking around. Was there some in this movie? Yeah, but it was a much more serious tone than the previous one. So anyways, y'all, take care. I'll have a lot more to say in the future, and we'll talk then.